Oh, do you like the new setup? This is a new house. I'm in a new house now. I moved. Okay. Okay. Hey guys, it's Janielle, and I have another story time because I am the Tana Mojo of Broadway Stan Twitter, and that's me. As you can tell by the hat, it's another part of the series Tales from the Broadway Stage Door, which I have dubbed it that name because I was like, wow, it's like literally as a series. So yeah, except this wasn't at Stage Door. I still have that other story from Stage Door that I need to tell. Like, I need to tell it because that's more of like a ranty story time, and this is more of just me being like, whoa, okay. I'm so excited. So yesterday was June 22nd, 2017. There's this thing called the Broadway Show League, and they have softball games from like various Broadway shows and in different like leagues and stuff. And so Dear Evan Hansen went against Atlantic yesterday. And so I went with Sarah, Galen, and Dahlia. So we went to the softball game, and Laura J. Brown was there. If you don't know who Laura J. Brown is, she's the mom of Stan Twitter. What's up, Laura? We're all just there, like, chilling. Michael Park walks up to Sarah, and he's just like, hey, Sarah, because he, like, knows who Sarah is. And we all give him the stuff. Like, he gets his beef jerky. We give Colton, like, his presents. I gave him, like, I made, like, little name tags for everyone with my little calligraphy, and I added, like, puns to it, and I gave it to Colton, and he was like, oh, yeah, like, how'd you know, like, I needed a name tag, and it said waffle-worthy, and there's just, like, this joke on Stan Twitter about, like, Colton and waffles, shorts here, about, like, Colton and waffles, that's why I was like, oh, waffle-worthy, isn't that so funny? It's just, like, us having fun at the softball game. We're just, like, watching the game, like, chilling with each other. Sarah and I filmed a trailer with Colton. So, like, Des is losing by, like, 3 points the whole time. And then last inning, they come through and they end up winning. It was so crazy. And it all happened in a span of, like, 1 minute. Like, less than 1 minute. And everyone was like, Dad. I don't think anyone else called it Dad besides, like, me and Sarah. So, Dad. So after the game is when everyone decided to, like, ask Laura for pictures and ask Michael for pictures, because Colton left halfway through, by the way, so yeah. And so everyone was, like, walking up to them talking, and because you know how Laura has, like, her thing with the fruit snack, she got, like, 5 boxes of fruit snacks in that one game, like, and she was carrying so many, and she stands up on the bleachers and she yelled out, she was like, does anyone want fruit snacks? And everyone's like, yeah, like, we want fruit snacks. And so she just throws them out into the crowd. And when I walk up to Laura, oh, this was before, but I'm jumping, I'm Storytime YouTuber. And so I give Laura her name tag. She's like, oh, it's so pretty. I was like, yeah, like, the other day, like, I was climbing a tree and you saw my cover. And she was like, oh, that was you. She was like, that was you sounded so great. It was so good. And I was like, wow, I love you. I want to take over your role when you're out. Zoe Murphy, did you mean Janielle? We all go up and, like, take pictures with her and Michael. And Sarah gets Michael to sign her glove because it's, like, really funny. And it's just, like, a good time, and we all just, like, around, like, 3:30ish, all of us, so it's, like, me, Laura left, like, halfway through. It's, like, me, Gayla, and Dahlia, and Sarah. We all go to Starbucks to get ice water, and I, like, dead was about to fight this lady. She wasn't gonna give me ice water, and I was like, I just need ice water. At this point, it's, like 3:45, and we leave at 4. It's 4, and so we take the train from Columbus Circle to Times Square to be in, like, the theater area. We go playbill hunting. So it's like Sarah and I split up from Galen and Dahlia because it's like if it's more than 2 people, it's like a little overwhelming. And so Sarah and I go to Dolly and we get playbills, and he gives Sarah a playbill, and then he looks at me and he's just like, oh, do you want one too? And I don't know why it was so funny, and so he just, like, gives it to me, and we start laughing. This guy on the phone next to us, like, stops and looks at us, and I'm like, I'm so sorry, like, so sorry, we're so loud. And he's just like, oh, it's okay, you're excited. I'm like, yeah, like, I'm excited over my second Hello Dolly Pride bill. And then we went to Anastasia and we got playbills, and then we went to Dear Evan Hansen and we got Pride bills. She only had one, and she was like, okay, so I can only give it to one of you guys. And we were like, oh, it's okay. And she was like, no, like, I can't just give it to one of you. So she goes inside the theater, gets a big stack of them, and then gives us another one. And we're just like, oh, thanks. And it includes an understudy slip for Olivia because she went on as Alana last night. And then we went to Comet and they gave us Comet playbills. And at this time, like, I had to go to my dinner at Sardi's, which is across the street from Anastasia, because Anastasia's on 44th and then Music Box is on 45th. And so Sardi's was like right there. And so I, like, because I did this program to see Dear Evan Hansen through Arts Connection, and it was basically, I don't know if I've explained this in a YouTube video before, but it was basically like, we see the show and we create a visual art piece inspired by the show, and it's hanging up like in various rooms throughout the Music Box, the backstage and stuff. So there's some in like dressing rooms, and so I'll insert a picture of my piece here. And so if you ever find yourself in the Music Box production office, like that's my art piece. That's me chilling up there. Because of that program, we had a celebratory dinner at Sardi's at 5. And so we go to Sardi's, and this is the meat of the story. Like, this is where this story gets interesting. That was all just like exposition leading up to this. Like, this is the peak, the climax of the story. Everything at Sardi's. And so I go, it's on the 4th floor, they give us our name tags, we sign in, it's great. And so they're like, oh yeah, you can choose your tables, like sit wherever you want. And so I sit at the table next to the door so I can still see who's coming in, because like I have a thing where I always have to like sit by the door and like see who's coming in. So it's like I had a view of the slideshow, I had like kind of easy access to the food, and I was able to see the elevators and who's coming in. So I was like, it's Gucci, like it's all good. And I sit at my table, and we're sitting there waiting for some of my friends to come, and then I look over and Laura comes in. And I'm still wearing the same thing that I wore to the baseball game, except with, like, to the baseball game I didn't wear my denim jacket thing because it was too hot. But, like, I was still wearing the same thing, and Laura saw it. And I said hi to Laura. Like, I was the first one, because she was walking in, I was the first one who saw her. So I said hi, and she was like, oh, hi. And I, like, she knew who I was because I literally saw her, like, 10 seconds ago. And then she goes to talk to the people who were, like, organizing. And I don't know when Stacy walked in. Who's the producer. I'm like, okay, next person will probably be Will, because if you watch like my first story time, like I did a workshop with Will, and the other half did the workshop with Laura. My friend Lexi was like, oh, like Mike's gonna be there, like hope that Mike's gonna be there, like come on, like Mike has to be there. And I was like, you know, I really don't think Mike's gonna be there. I was just like, it's just my luck that like Mike won't be there. And she was like, what about Ben? And I was like, honestly, like Ben didn't do the talk back with us, and he didn't do any of the workshops, so I was like, you know, like probably Ben's like too busy, he's too tired, like it's a long, it's like I was like, yeah, like he probably won't be there, like he doesn't have to. And it like made sense for him to not be there, so I was like, okay, so it's fine. Like I was expecting Will, Laura, maybe Michael, maybe Rachel, yeah, yada yada. I'm like sitting there waiting for my friends, and like it's starting to pack up, like people are starting to get there like on time and stuff, and I look outside, like see who's coming in the elevator, and the next person to come out of the elevator is none other than Mike Faist. Mike, the person that I thought wasn't gonna be there, walks through those beautiful elevator doors, and alas, it's Mike. And last time I met him, I didn't bring his letter and I didn't bring his gift because I was like, I'm not going to meet him. Like, that's not my luck. And so I decided to bring all their gifts today because I was like, you know, just in case, like, any of them show up to the game, like, I bump into them, like, when I'm at Sardi's, like, whatever. Like, I'll bring it just in case. And I brought my playbills, like, just in case. Because, like, I've learned, like, when you're in the city, like, you bring it just in case because every time you don't bring it, that's when you bump into them. Cue my last story time. I go to my friend Asha and I'm just like, Mike Faist is there? And she's like, yeah. And I'm like, I like have a letter for him that I've been holding for a month, and like I need to give it to him and I need to walk up to him. And she's like, okay. And she was like, just walk up to him like next time he walks in. And so he like walks in and he kind of like looks around for a bit, like talks to a few people, and then he goes to the bathroom, which is right next to the elevators. And I go to Asha and I'm just like, let's pretend like we're taking pictures outside. And so when he walks out, I can just like go up to him and like catch him there instead of like going up to him like in the dinner. I don't know. It just seemed better. We're like taking pictures and Mike walks out and I'm holding my letter and I'm like, oh, hi Mike. And he like stops and he's just like, oh, hi. And I was like, I'm a big fan and this is like a little weird, but I have this for you. And I gave him his art piece and his letter and his friendship bracelet. Oh, here's my friendship bracelet. That's relevant later. And so, she was like, no, this isn't weird at all. Like, this is so awesome. I pulled up my sleeve and I was like, oh, like, I made us friendship bracelets. And he was like, oh, that's so cool. Is that what this is? And he's like, oh, I'm going to put it on now. And so he, like, takes off the bracelet from the letter. And I told him, I was like, oh, like, I don't know if it's going to fit. Like, I tried to make it as big as I could, but I wasn't sure. Like, I really hope it fits. He was like, you know, if it doesn't fit, like, then you've ruined everything. And I was like, yeah, Mike, I have. He was like, oh, okay, it fits. I was like, okay, that's Gucci. I told Mike Feist it was Gucci that his bracelet fits his wrist. Asha's holding my phone because she was like, I'll take a video for you. She didn't take a video. She took pictures, but it's okay. And then she's holding my phone and she's like, oh, take a picture. Can you take a picture? And I was like, oh, yeah, like, can we please take a picture? He was like, yes, of course. And so we like, started to take a picture. And I was like, wait, can we hold up, like, our friendship bracelets? And he was like, yeah, of course. And then we hold up the friendship bracelets onto the picture. And then I asked him for a hug. And he was like, yeah, like, you're so awesome. I was like, wow, I love one man. I walk back in. The dinner, like, kind of starts. We get our food, and then we're all sitting, and then I see Ben Platt walk in. Do you know how the two people that I thought weren't gonna come were Mike and Ben, and they came? And I almost did not bring my gifts for them, but they came. We were, like, free to, like, mingle with, like, each other and with, like, everyone. And I was seeing, like, Laura and Mike were, like, walking up to tables and, like, talking to them and everything. And, like, no one was walking up to Ben because I think everyone was a little too, like, intimidated to walk up to Ben. I don't know, because he was, like, in the middle. And so, like, I go up to him first and I'm like, oh, hi, Ben, like, I'm a really big fan. And I hand in my letter and my art, and I told him, I was like, yeah, like, this is my favorite, like, lyric from the show. It's spoken to me, like, so much, because it's like, it says, how do I step into the sun, because it's my favorite, like, wait for it. Like, yes, it's my favorite lyric of the whole show. I gave him a hug, and I was like, yeah, like, I was like, you're such an inspiration. Like, I cried during your Tony acceptance speech, and so he said, oh, haha, me too. I was like, oh, really? Like, it's not like the whole, like, world saw you cry at the Tonys. Like, that's, yeah, I didn't know you cried at the Tonys, but it was funny. This is the clickbait title that I made Ben Platt laugh. That's the clickbait title.
Thank you so much. Nice to meet you.
I got her for you.
Sure. Of course. Thank you so much. Me too. It's my pleasure. Nice.
And then Asha wants pictures with Mike and Laura. And so we go up to Mike, because he's just, like, chilling. Like, he's kind of just standing there right now. We go up to Mike, and Asha gets a picture with him. Like, I don't remember what I said or, like, how this happened. But I was like, yeah, like 2 weeks ago, like, I got this picture with you. I don't know if you remember. And I showed him my lock screen, which is my picture from the last story time. And he was like, oh, yeah, that was you. Like, that was funny. I was like, yeah, that was me. Who am I? And then Asha wants a picture with Laura. And so we go up to Laura, we get a picture, she gets a picture of Laura, and she asked me, oh, do you want a picture? And I was like, oh, we already got one today, like, I just saw you. She was like, yeah, it's okay, I get it. She was like, yeah, you already got your picture. And I was like, yeah, like, and we talked about the softball game, like, how great the game was, because it's a very interesting game, and I don't even care about sports, and I was like, wow, like, intrigued. I have my playbills, and I realized, I'm like, oh my god, like, I have my playbills, like, 5 minutes later, and I tell Asha, I'm like, I need to get them to sign it, like, because I already have Laura. I'm missing Will now, but I was missing Ben, Mike, and Will, and now I'm just missing Will. And then I go up to, like, I end up catching Mike in the elevator, not in the elevator, but, like, outside the elevator, because he's about to leave. Like, Laura, and Stacy, like, are about to leave. And I go up to him, I'm like, hi, like, I'm sorry to bother you again. He was like, oh, no problem. And I was like, oh, do you mind signing this? And I have 2 playbills, and I have one with, like, everyone, and one with just Mike's and Michael's, because that's funny. Hello, we're back. My camera died, so I'm back filming on my phone because the camera died, so we kind of degraded, but it's okay. And so Mike and Laura leave, and I walk back in. There's a line, like, to just, like, meet Ben, and I, like, felt bad that I, like, went back in the line because I asked him to sign my playbill, and that's when I asked him for a picture because, like, I didn't get a picture before. And he was just a great person, and I'll just, like, put in the pictures because that's what I do. And then afterwards, like, I'm eating, and Michael Greif walks in, and I ask him, I'm like, oh yeah, can you please sign my playbills? Like, I'm a big fan of yours and of the shows. and I asked him for a picture, and he signed my playbills. He also told me that the one Michael playbill was funny. It's my brand. I take a picture with him, and Michael Greif isn't a tall guy. Like, he's not the tallest person ever. And so he takes a picture with me. He was like, wow, you make me feel so tall. He's like, oh yeah, like that rarely happens. Like, I feel really tall next to you. I'm like, thanks, Michael. I was like, yeah, like everyone says that. And he was like, oh, sorry for being unoriginal. I was like, it's okay. Like, you're welcome for making you feel tall. And then afterwards, Michael E. Brown came a little late. Like, I think by the time Michael came, it was just Michael Greif. And, like, I think Ben was, like, about to leave. I'm in a table with 3 other people. So there are 4 of us, and then there are 5 seats. And so Asha and I go get drinks. And we come back, and Michael E. Brown is sitting at our table talking to her friend. And so we, like, sit in our seats, and he just has, like, a 25 to 30 minute conversation with the 4 of us, like, talking to us about our art, and he wants to see pictures of all of our art, and, like, tells us, like, where he thinks he saw them, and, like, asking us where we got, like, our inspiration from, and how we found the program, and, like, what our plans are for the future. And we talked about theater, and, like, all of his, and how he, like, got involved with Dear Evan Hansen. And he was just, like, a really great guy. And he was like, yeah, like, if any of you see the show anytime soon, like, I'll be in the back, like, I'll probably say hi to one of you guys. I was like, yeah, like, I've been trying to get standing room, but they just changed a new policy. They changed to a new policy, so it's a little hard. He was like, yeah, I heard about that. I was like, yeah, everyone's mad about how you changed your standing room policy. Literally the weekend I was planning on trying to get standing room. And then he was like, yeah, like, I kind of have to go now because, like, they were approaching the show. I forgot what time it was at this point. And he had to go. And he was like, it was really great talking to you guys. Like, you guys are going places. He told me that I was really good at faking my art. I was kidding. I told him, I was like, I don't really do visual art. I do more of, like, musical theater, and I kind of just joined because I was, like, a big fan of the show, and I kind of dabble in art. And he was like, oh, like, it wasn't obvious, like, in your piece at all that you had just started doing art. And I was like, thank you, Michael E. Brown. But maybe he'll remember me next time. So it is currently 12:51 a.m., almost 1 a.m., and I'm editing this video. And I'm just like, yeah, like, maybe Michael E. Brown will remember me next time. Fun fact, he did. This isn't long enough of a story to include, to, like, make a whole nother video, so I'll just, like, put this in. So I told him, maybe I'm thinking of stage dooring tonight, and he was like, yeah, I'll probably see you when I'm leaving on Thursday night. But I wasn't able to go because the dinner that I went to afterwards ended too late, so I couldn't go to the stage door. And so I stage doored on Saturday night when I saw Charlie and the Chocolate Factory with Sarah, and then we, like, rushed to the desk stage door. I have pretzel M&Ms and, like, a small little letter for him, and because, you know, Michael E. Brown is, like, my best friend now. Okay, Ben Platt just tweeted. He comes out, and he recognizes me, and I think he assumes Sarah was there too, but he didn't meet Sarah before. And then he signs her things, and he asks us, he was like, oh, how are you doing? Like, how has it been? I was like, yeah, it's been really great. Sorry I couldn't come out on Thursday. He was like, yeah, I looked out and I didn't see you. And I was like, wow, true friends on a perfect day. So he signs our things, and because he, like, stops and talks to us and signs our things, he has to sign everybody else's. And so he's like, oh yeah, like, I'll go down the line, I'll come back and talk to you guys. And so he does. He's a man of his word, and he goes down the whole line and then comes back and talks to me and Sarah, and he asks us, like, how's school been? Is school over for you guys? And he, like, asked if we're going to see the show anytime soon, and we were saying we wanted to try it with standing room, but, like, they're really changing the policy, and it's kind of hard to, like, keep up. And he asked us, like, oh, what's going on with the policy, and, like, what are all the changes? And we, like, explain, and then he talks to us. Because the desk stage door has been getting so crazy lately, they re-implemented their no selfie policy. So in case you didn't know, they had a no selfie policy, and then there was a little bit of time where they were okay with selfies. They were letting you take pictures, and then now they're saying, like, there's not enough time to take pictures with everyone, which totally makes sense. And so, because Michael E. Brown is my best friend, so I asked him, I'm like, do you think we can get a picture without getting yelled at by the security guards? And he's just like, yeah, sure. And then he was like, yeah, like, come here. And so I go behind the barricade. I'm like, wow, like, I'm about to sign for everyone. Like, this is me getting used to when I'm going to assume the role of Zoe Murphy. And so I literally, like, I stand behind the barricade and I take a picture with him, and it's all Gucci. We tell him to have a great night and to get home safely. And wow, Michael E. Brown. That's it. But yes, back to the original story time. Oh yeah, and they give us free hats. As we were leaving, they gave us hats. And that was my story time. I hope you liked it. I don't know if there will be any videos anytime soon in terms of story time. So yeah, I hope you liked this video. I don't know how to end it. I'm repping my future job because I am assuming the role of Zoe Murphy. Once Laura doesn't want to be Zoe anymore. Do you think we can take a picture before I can't speak. It's 1 a.m. Not part of the story time. My chair keeps falling backwards. And I go to my friend and I'm just like, Mike Faist is there. Mike Faist is there. Michael Lee Brown, a man of his word. The weekend I tried is the weekend they changed the policy.